Cavite Mutiny, the Contemporaries, presented by Group 3.
Every year since 1898, the 12th of June has been a very important event for all Filipinos. On this particular day, the entire Filipino nation, as well as the Filipino communities all over the world, gather to celebrate the Philippines' Independence Day. 1898 came to a very significant year for all of us. But we should be reminded that another year is as historic as 1898, the year 1872. There would have been no 1896 Philippine Revolution, and there have been no 1872 Cavite Mutiny. We have already discussed the Cavite Mutiny in the first-hand and second-hand accounts. There are two versions of the story, the Filipino version and the Spanish version. But let's discuss the other contemporary accounts of the story. But what do other contemporaries terms mean? According to dictionary.com, a person belonging to the same time or period as another or others. Someone who is the same age as another, existing or occurring at present. It was known as the direct context with contemporaries of the events, were Father Salvador Pons, Apolinario Mabini, Manuel Artigas y Cuerva, and Jose Rizal. All Filipino must know the different side of the story, since this event led to another tragic yet meaningful part of our history. The execution of Contemporaries, which is a major factor in the awakening of the nationalism among the Filipinos. Let's examine the contemporary statements regarding what is right and wrong regarding the 1872 mutiny that promoted the awakening side of Filipinos to the Spanish government regime.
Father Salvador Pons y Torres. Pons was an Augustinian who first came to the Philippines in 1874, left his order in 1899 in Manila, and for the next decade, spent much of his time writing against the friars and cooperating with the founders of the Iglesia Filipina Independiente. Finally, being reconciled with the Catholic Church, he re-entered the Augustinian and spent the rest of his life in a monastery in Germany. He is a Spanish priest and journalist who writes anti-Spanish colonial propaganda. He executed in the year 1899, but he became free after a month and returned to Germany. The words of Pons were contradictory to the Spanish era. El Clero Filipino. The second book contains a series of biographies and bibliographies of outstanding Filipino secular priests, among them Burgos and Gomez. The Filipino Clergy, 1698 to 1762. The birth of a Filipino clergy, those who in the 17th and 18th centuries by birth and by culture can rightly be called Filipinos in our modern sense, Indios and Chinese mestizos, has long been a subject of varying, even contradictory studies.
Jose Rizal. Many Filipinos were outraged by the Spanish treatment of the Bumburza priests when they were executed, and Jose Rizal was one of them. Jose Rizal was still a small boy at this time, and the person who informed him of the execution was Pasiano. His older brother was linked with Father Burgos, one of the priests who were executed. At this point, Rizal understood the Spaniards' wrongdoings against the Filipinos and realized that he needed to take a stand to make a difference in the country and put an end to the Spanish Empire's abusive and unjust acts. Evidence. He wrote the novel El Filibusterismo, which he dedicated to the three priests. El Filibusterismo was a significant factor in the Filipino people's revolt, as it encouraged many individuals to fight for their nation, including Andres Bonifacio. Many scholars believe that the Cavite Mutiny of 1872 was the beginning of Filipino nationalism, which eventually led with the 1896 Philippine Revolution. On September 18, 1891, in Ghent, Belgium, Dr. Rizal published his second novel, El Filibusterismo. Rizal wrote El Filibusterismo in dedication to the three martyred priests, Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, expressing the conviction that their treatment and deaths at the hands of the Spanish authorities were unjust.
Manuel E. Artigas Kerva. Manuel Artigas, a biographer, bibliographer, historian, and a journalist. Artigas pursued his interest in journalism. In 1892, he published his first book, Manual del Empleados, at the height of the revolution in the early 1897. Artigas evacuated his family to Spain. There, he continued writing for some periodicals exposing Spanish authorities' abuses in the Philippines. He became acquainted with the prominent Spaniards who sympathized together with the Filipinos. He established the El Filipino. Evidences. His major work was Los Sucesos de 1892. This book, though somewhat unsystematic in organization, is the fullest account of the Cavite Mutiny and its background that has appeared up to the present. Artigas has depended principally on the accounts of Regidor, together with the alleged confessions of Fathers Pernavera and Echegoyen.
He cites the Regidor for assertion that the promoters of mutiny were the two peninsular officers Montesinos and Moreco, and the other Juan Gomez being the principal instigator among the workers and soldiers of Ansernal persuading them to revolt. Only Montero maintains fully the official thesis that the mutiny was part of a larger revolt aimed at independence. Artigas takes up both the Regidor version and the selection from the Pernavera and Echegoyen version. Artigas' account falls far short of providing a fully reliable treatment of the events of 1872. The evaluation and indication of this article are intended as aids to the use of these published sources. They must be used in conjunction with documentary archival sources to arrive at a more complete and reliable historical picture.
Apolinario Mabini y Maranan was born on July 23, 1864 in Tanawan. Died on May 3, 1903 in Manila. He was a Filipino revolutionary leader, educator, lawyer, and statesman who served first as a legal and constitutional advisor to the revolutionary government, and then as a first Prime Minister of the Philippines upon the establishment of the First Philippine Republic. Mabini wrote the Philippine Revolution or La Revolucion Filipina in 1901 to 1903 as both an account and critique of the movement that established the First Philippine Republic, as well as of the first year of the Philippines as a self-governing nation. La Revolucion Filipina was published and printed in Manila in 1931.
Evidences. Mabini devotes one chapter of his posthumously published work, La Revolucion Filipina, to our subject. Causa y efecto de la ejecución de los Padres Burgos, Gomez y Zamora. Mabini's chapter is not a narrative, but rather a discussion of the place of the martyr priest in the revolution.